My Hero Academia Chapter 275. Another hype chapter. Thank you, Horikoshi. So, this chapter pretty much picks off where the last chapter ended, with Deku and Bakugo heading in a different direction to try and lure Shigaraki away. Now, what I do like is that when this chapter opens up, Shigaraki's actually surprised at how the search quirk is working. Basically, like everything that Ragdoll saw before getting her quirk stolen was in fact still kind of culminated in the quirk. So that's how Shigaraki can in fact locate Deku and his weak points, which is all overpowered, does kind of show something pretty damn well. And I apologize if you hear like a dog barking in the background. That's my dog. I'm really sorry about that. But anyway, Deku and Bakugo are telling Endeavor, Deku's basically telling Endeavor that Shigaraki is after him, and that they've got a plan to try and lure him away to buy the evacuees some time. Endeavor's like, look kid, I don't understand how this is working, but you leave this to me and stuff like that. Endeavor lands a good hit on Shigaraki, but Shigaraki gets away. Now, what I do like is that Deku still tries to convince Endeavor, and tells him if he's changing directions. And Shigaraki does change directions, pretty much confirming that he's after Deku for Endeavor's, point of view. And Shigaraki notices that they're all in contact with each other. So before lunging away, right when he's lunging away again, he does a combination of quirks, radio waves, and an air cannon. And you can tell there's on his palm, the air cannon's right there. So he launches an air cannon sonic wave, which not only pushes Endeavor back, but also short circuits the communications with the other heroes. Even Burnin is feeling it, which does kind of cut off communications with everyone. Now, I do like how when we cut back to Bakugo and Deku, Deku's talking to Bakugo about what's going on, but then he just all of a sudden asks the question, wait, what are you doing here? And I love this comedic exchange because then Bakugo's all pissed off and angry, why the hell do you think? You can't go doing this on your own. Plus he's got a score to sell and stuff like that. Plus Bakugo also says the one logical step is that he's the only one among their classmates and the pro heroes that know about One for All and Deku's situation, and that he would be the best choice to help him out without some long-winded explanation, which does kind of suit Deku best, because whenever he tries to explain something, he kind of goes on a long-winded muttering spree and stuff like that, and stuff can get lost in translation. So Bakugo also says that he's not just there to give Deku a hand. It's like, what? Me following you? Forget it. You're not the main. You think you're the main character or something? We do get Bakugo's ulterior motive, which I did kind of see coming, but I do love because he reveals that he still blames himself for All Might retiring, for the end of All Might, and with a very somewhat Bakugo-like maniacal smile, similar to how Dabi was like previously. He's like, I got a score to settle. I'm going to take this guy down to make up for what happened to All Might. And I do like how we do get a good interpretation of where Deku is at also, because in Bakugo's inner monologue, he says that thanks to his training with Endeavor, Deku's been able to move a lot faster and quicker by keeping One for All at 30% base constantly without breaking up his body. So during that 3 months, Deku managed to stay at 30% constantly and then jump up to 45% on the point of impact, so it wouldn't damage him. So before, when we thought that Deku managed to go all the way up to 45%, that was wrong. Technically, he can stay at 30% constantly, but 45 he jumps to for the point-blank contact attack. And Bakugo just like, he grits his teeth every time, and he's like, I'm not going to be left behind. And then he pushes up more, so him and Deku are side by side. And I can't wait to see how they can tag team against Shigaraki. But then all of a sudden, Shigaraki, with this really nice dark printed panel of Deku and Bakugo looking at Shigaraki as he appears right in front of them. And just like that, Deku saying that we felt this before back in Kamino. And we see, as Shigaraki is extending his hand towards Deku and Bakugo, we see like an image of them being decayed, which I do think is just an image of death. That same thing that happened in Kamino, where once Deku and everyone saw All for One, the aura and presence he gave off made them trembling and paralyzed in fear, visualizing their own deaths, which I think is what this scene is. Because Deku, in his inner monologue, is like, for the first time since Kamino, I've felt this type of fear. The fear of certain death. And Shigaraki's like, hello, hand over one for all, Izuku Midoriya. And right before he makes contact, Gran Torino swoops in and saves Bakugo and Deku, which I do love. I'm so glad that Gran Torino came in with the save. So Gran Torino is basically lecturing them, and he's like, the second I heard one for all on the radio, he's like, I knew what was going to happen and what you tried to do. And he's like, you two are way out of your league. There's no way you can take on this monster. Which now I do believe that despite Deku trying to argue that he's after him and that he's the best way for them to keep him in place, and that it is his responsibility, Gran Torino's like, there are still heroes here that aren't at a fight yet. Just leave things to us, because we'll be able to take them down. Well, that's not exactly what he said, but that's pretty much implied. And right at that moment, Ryukyu appears right out of the smoke, heading towards Shigaraki, and goes to hit him with a left claw hook. And at that moment, Shigaraki lays a hand on Ryukyu. We think that this is going to be the end of Ryukyu, but no. Shigaraki, the K, isn't working, and Ryukyu slams Shigaraki down into the rubble. And then we get this dialogue of like, so that we see Aizawa basically being like, he's after my students, everything that's going on. Number 6 hero, Shield's hero, you saved me. My life has been saved multiple times. And he's like, my purpose right now, the reason I'm still alive, is to take you down, Shigaraki. And with that epic stare down at Shigaraki as he's on the ground, while Aizawa is far away, eyes staring at him to keep his quirk erased, he's like, don't you dare lay another hand on my students. And Shigaraki on the ground is like, so, you really are so cool, Eraser. And that's how the chapter ends, setting up what I believe is going to be the hero's very last stand against Shigaraki in this arc. Now, what do I mean by last stand? Well, with how they're setting things up, heroes like Gran Torino, Ryukyu, most likely Endeavor when he shows back up, and whatever other heroes Ryukyu managed to get away from the hospital, they're all going to be fighting Shigaraki while Eraserhead is erasing Shigaraki's quirks. And they're going to try their very damn best to try and take him down. Now, with how things work, depending on the quirks and the combinations and stuff they can do, they will either have to knock Shigaraki out and maybe even get rid of his hands so they won't decay, or even straight up kill him. But here's the thing. There are multiple factors still in play. For one, Gran Torino was still trying to get Deku and Bakugo out of the area, so we have no idea what's going to happen. I'll be honest, Aizawa has had a death flag on him since Shigaraki woke up. Well, ever since the high ends, when he was fighting the high ends. Do I think Aizawa could end up dying or get his quirk stolen or erased? Yes, that is very likely. Big red flag. I do see this happening. This is a very strong possibility because, honestly, they have no idea how many quirks Shigaraki has at this point, thanks to All for One. And the K quirk is already so overpowered as is. We even get a broader scope from Gran Torino. He tells Bakugo and Deku how much powerful the K quirk is. Because once he lays a hand on you, it's not just you that gets decayed. And if you so much as touch a piece of a crack that's being from the K wave, you'll start to die too. He even says that he saw heroes die from getting hit with rubble that was part of the decay wave. So, yeah, that is how freaking overpowered the decay wave is. So if a piece of rubble in the air that was part of the decay wave hits you before it's completely decayed, you'll decay too. So having Aizawa present is the main thing we need to make sure that Shigaraki is put in his place. Aizawa is the natural enemy of every quirk, especially Shigaraki right now. Because unless you have a flying quirk, and unless you can manage to land a good hit on Shigaraki without him laying a hand on you, then you're dead. That's the scary thing. But yeah, there's also another wild card, the fact that Gigantomachia is on his way with the rest of the League of Villains. There's Toga, Compress, and Dabi. Twice as dead, so there's that. But still, we also got Spinner also, which we haven't seen in the arc in this arc so right now. But yeah, we have the League of Villains and Gigantomachia on their way. So even if they manage to take on Shigaraki, with Gigantomachia showing up, tide can turn again. Not to mention Shigaraki still has the quirk erasing bullets. I think he's got like 4 of them. So, and remember I believe it's his left hand? 2 fingers are missing. And it looks like a revolver. So if Shigaraki really plans to, he can in fact launch the quirk erasing bullets either with the way his hand is right now, with those missing finger points or something like that, and then manages to find a good opportunity and shoot Aizawa and erase his quirk for good, or flick it to erase Aizawa's quirk, or even straight up go up and kill Aizawa right at the moment when he's blinking and take his erasure quirk as well. Because let's face it, from what we saw in this chapter, Shigaraki was able to mix and match 2 different quirks on the spot. So it is highly possible that he can in fact steal someone's quirk as he's decaying them. Yeah, Shigaraki is way too overpowered, but that makes the stakes even higher. This also further confirms the fact that there is going to have to be a time skip soon, showing Deku fully mastering One For All, or at least getting close to mastering it, and then he'll have to go and face off against Shigaraki. Now, the only problem with the time skip now is because Shigaraki has the search quirk. He can search for Deku anywhere within a limited range. So, that is the scary part. Even if they manage to get away and Shigaraki, even if they manage to win the day, and let's say Shigaraki's put in the Tartarus, if he manages to get out, he can find Deku anywhere. So he can find One For All. Oh man. Again, not too much happening in terms of dialogue, but a lot was set up. Aizawa is the linchpin to take down Shigaraki. But if the League get there, or if Shigaraki manages to steal or erase Aizawa's quirk, it's pretty much game over. Because the second Shigaraki can make it to where Deku is, it's possible he'll kill Deku and maybe even steal One For All, or even freaking kill Deku with One For All. Maybe at the very last moment, Deku gives One For All a Bakugo like he did in the movie. It's possible. But, yeah, that's really all I'm going to say. A lot's being set up. There's a lot of there's a bunch of possible variables that can affect the outcome of this arc and the fight right now. So many variables, so many different outcomes. It's impossible to determine which will be the one Horikoshi goes for, or he'll do something completely unexpected that we haven't thought of yet. But overall, this arc just keeps getting better and better and better, and having Shigaraki and Aizawa pretty much square up for a rematch really does sell the intensity of this arc, and even does sell the fact that there is a red flag or a death flag on Aizawa's head. I do see a few more pro heroes dying, even some named heroes that we've grown attached to. It's possible Ryukyu can die in this arc. It's possible Gran Torino can die in this arc. It's highly likely that Endeavor and Aizawa will die in this arc. Aizawa more than Endeavor, but yeah, I do see someone dying in this arc. Another important character dying in this arc. There's also the fact that in the last chapter there was one little piece, one little spark that was off on the side. So it's possible someone was following Bakugo and Deku. That's not confirmed. That's just a little thought I had. But either way, great chapter. So many things can happen. I have no idea what could happen next. What can happen next, and I am all for it. What did you guys think of this chapter? Was it great? Was it bad? Do you think too much is happening too quickly? Let me know in the comments below. And how do you think the heroes can take down Shigaraki? Or how do you think this arc could, in fact, end? Leave it down in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you really like me doing these My Hero reviews. And above all else, have an awesome day.